They skipped the inspection. The repair bill exceeded their down payment. The repair bill exceeded their down payment, not their monthly mortgage payment, not their closing costs, their entire down payment. And it all started because they skipped a $600 home inspection. Sahil and Anjali Kapoor had spent 11 months losing houses. As first-time buyers chasing their dream of leaving their cramped Scarborough rental, they had watched offer after offer get beaten by buyers willing to do whatever it took. By spring 2025, the GTA market had cooled overall, but on the right kind of property, multiple offer situations were quietly returning. A well-priced semi in East York with a finished basement could still attract 6 or 7 competing bids in a weekend. The Kapoors finally found their house in late April 2025, a charming 1960s semi-detached near Woodbine, freshly painted, with new laminate floors and a basement that smelled clean and looked spotless. They walked through it twice and knew this was the one. The listing agent told them 3 offers were already registered. That evening, their realtor laid out the strategy. 1 or 2 of the competing offers were likely coming in with no conditions. If the Kapoors wanted to win, they would need to consider waiving their financing condition and their home inspection. Sahil hesitated. Anjali looked at him with tired eyes. "We've lost 11 houses, Sahil. I can't do another month of this." The basement looked perfect. The paint job was fresh. Let's just do it. They submitted with no conditions and won the house by $12,000. They cried in the car. 8 weeks later, they moved in. And for almost 3 months, everything felt like the dream they had been chasing. Then came the August storm. It rained for 18 hours straight, the kind of late summer GTA downpour that overwhelms suburban storm drains. Sahil went down to the basement around 11 p.m. and stopped dead at the bottom of the stairs. Water was pooling along the back wall. A dark stain was spreading across the freshly painted drywall. When he pressed his hand against it, the paint felt soft, almost spongy. He grabbed a flashlight and pulled away a section of baseboard. Behind the fresh paint and a patched section of drywall, the original cinderblock foundation had a clear horizontal crack running across at least 8 feet of wall, with water actively seeping through it. Anjali came down in her pajamas. She didn't say anything. She just looked at the wall, and they both understood at the same moment that something was seriously wrong with the house they had just emptied their savings into. The next morning, a structural inspector arrived. After 90 minutes, the verdict was clear. The horizontal crack was caused by external hydrostatic pressure, soil and water pushing the wall inward over many years. The seller had painted over it. Drywall had been added on the interior to hide it. The renovated basement was a careful cosmetic cover-up, but the real shock came 2 weeks later, when the foundation crew began exploratory work. The contractor asked Sahil to come downstairs. A section of finished wall near the utility room had been opened up. Inside the cavity, hidden behind drywall, paint, and a built-in shelving unit, were 2 automotive scissor jacks wedged against a sagging steel beam. The previous owner had been using them to hold up the floor system above. Rust had welded them partially to the beam. For a moment, Sahil wondered whether the house was even safe to sleep in that night. "I've seen this maybe 3 times in 20 years, the contractor said quietly. Someone knew there was a structural problem and chose to jack it up and cover it with drywall. The jacks were doing real work. If you'd renovated this basement and removed that wall, the floor above would have started sagging within months." Sahil sat in his car in the driveway for almost an hour before he could go inside. The house he had stretched every dollar to buy was a magic trick. Fresh paint hiding catastrophic neglect. Drywall hiding decisions a previous owner had made to deceive whoever bought next. The first repair quote came in at $34,000. The structural engineer demanded a geotechnical engineer for the soil before signing off, and the 2 professionals argued over the cause for nearly 6 weeks while the Kapoors paid mortgage, taxes, and utilities on a house they couldn't safely use. By the time the engineers agreed, the revised quote had climbed to $52,000 because more damage had been uncovered. Then came the cascade nobody had warned them about. Foundation repair doesn't put the house back together, the contractor explained. When we lift, brace, and reinforce, your drywall will crack, your floors will lift. The kitchen cabinets along that wall will have to come out. Budget another 30% on top of our number. By the time the dust settled in early 2026, the Kapoor's total out-of-pocket cost was just over $71,000. Their original down payment had been $68,000. The financial damage was only one layer. What it did to their life was harder to measure. Sahil took on a personal line of credit, adding $850 to their monthly outflow. They postponed the family they had been planning to start. Anjali had been hoping to be pregnant by their first anniversary. That anniversary came and went while they were still arguing with engineers. They canceled the trip to India, where Anjali was supposed to see her 90-year-old grandmother, a trip she had been saving for since before they were married. Her grandmother passed away 9 months later, and Anjali never saw her again. Sahil picked up freelance contracts on weekends. Anjali stopped buying the small joys, the coffee out, the lunches with friends, that hold a marriage together when everything else gets hard. They didn't fight loudly. They fought softly, with silences that lasted hours. Sahil started sleeping in the guest room some nights, not from anger, but because lying next to her with this weight on his chest felt like punishing her too. What hurt the most was a conversation Sahil had months later with a veteran home inspector at a barbecue. A horizontal crack like that would have been visible in 20 minutes, the inspector said. Fresh paint on just one section of basement wall is the oldest cellar trick in the book. The sagging floor would have shown up on a level. A $600 inspection would have caught most of it. Sahil thought about that number for a long time. $600. To save $71,000, a year of his marriage, and the trip Anjali never got to take to see her grandmother. The Kapoors did finish the repair. The house is structurally sound now. The jacks are gone, but the experience changed them permanently. They will never again make a major decision under bidding war pressure. We thought waiving the inspection was a small compromise to win the house, Anjali reflected. It wasn't a small compromise. It was the most expensive decision we will probably ever make. You don't just pay to fix the foundation. You pay to put the entire house back together. And you pay with parts of your life that no contractor ever invoices you for. For GTA first-time buyers in 2026, the Kapoor's experience carries a warning that has only become more important as multiple offer situations quietly return on desirable properties. The market may have cooled, but the temptation to waive conditions has not disappeared. Fresh paint and new flooring can hide problems that take 20 minutes for a qualified inspector to identify and 20 months to recover from financially. Sometimes they hide problems the previous owner already knew about and chose to bury in drywall. The $600 inspection is not the cost of buying a home. It is the cost of protecting yourself from buying the wrong one. Their advice now to every first-time buyer is one sentence. Walk away from any house, in any market, that won't let you inspect it before you sign.